Let's go ahead. I think if anyone still wants to join, they can. Um, so
Sure.
let's have a quick chat. I'm Madeleine Engelbrecht, and I am the financial accounting PGDA lecturer for Regent. So Msizi, who will be my co-host for tonight. Would you like to give a bit of a breakdown?
Sure. My name is Msizi Gwala. I lecture auditing in PGDA at Regent. I've been around for a couple of years and I'm looking forward to sharing some information about myself as well as our programs at Regent, but also importantly about the CA qualification.
I'm hoping that everyone is that we've got quite a group of people, different people, both parents and prospective students who want to know more about the CA stream. So let me just give you a bit of a breakdown into the journey to becoming a CA. So generally, how the CASA qualification works is uh, you start off with just a BCom in accounting, then you move on to a PGDA, which is a postgraduate diploma in accounting. Some universities and some institutions also call it a CTA, which is a certified theory of accounting. I know UNISA calls it that. Um, and generally, they say it's a BCom honors CTA. So as long as you know that there's a PGDA or a CTA in it, it's your honors year that you have to do. After honors, we start off with what us old timers call board one, but it's also called the IAC, initial assessment of competence. Um, and then we also, after 18 months, you are eligible to write your second board exam. So in the space between board one and board two, we have 3 years of articles. It's quite a rigorous process. And most of you would know that it's places like KPMG, or if you want to be part of the big four, but also BDO, which is a small, medium-sized firm. And then there's a few smaller sized firms that you can do your articles with. After you've completed your articles and there are competencies that you need to complete during this process, um, and you've passed your two board exams, you are eligible to register with SAICA as a chartered accountant of South Africa. Sorry, I'm nervous, okay? I don't normally speak to people. That's why I'm an accountant. I'm sorry. So that's kind of a little bit of a breakdown of the pathway to becoming a chartered accountant. Um, One of the things that I mentioned was SAICA, which is the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. So basically, it's our membership. Msizi is better aligned to talk about SAICA. So there we go, Msizi.
Sure. But maybe before we talk about psych, we want to just talk about our journeys to becoming chartered accountants because we're both members of SAICA. We're now training members to become rather aspiring members, but we're both members of SAICA. So I want to maybe start off by talking about how I got to where I am and just maybe illustrating how my journey was. So I'll start, and if you'd like, you can also share a little bit later. So I finished my matric many months ago. I think it was 2003. Then I registered for my BCom accounting part time. I did it at the time through UNISA. I then did my, we used to call it GDA, but also CTA in Cape Town in 2008, I believe. Then I went on to serve my articles. I think my journey was interestingly, I could call it relatively easy, if I can say, in my undergrad. I did get a bit of a challenge and a shock when I did my GDA or my CTA year in Cape Town. But fortunately, I managed to pass and I came back to Durban and started my articles with one of the big four firms. That's where for me the challenge started, trying to get into the workplace, adapting to working. I had a stint at the Big Four firm. I left and then I came back. It was a bit of a crazy one, but I think that whole journey, including the things or the skills I learned outside of the technical work that we did in illustrating and demonstrating our technical competence, I think it shaped me and shaped the professional that I have since become. It took me a total of 9 years, if you can believe it. I know the minimum is 7, but it did take me a total of 9 years to finally, in 2013, qualify as a chartered accountant. I have since then worked for some great organizations like Regent, but also SAICA. How about your journey? How did it go?
So it was very similar in timing. However, um, I don't like to tell people this, but I will tell you this. So I have ADHD, and for an accountant with ADHD, you need to really love accounting to pass. Um, I did my undergrad and my CTA year with UNISA. I really struggled with CTA. I'm not good with management accounting, but I am great with financial accounting. So I struggled to pass management accounting in my first year, and then in my second year of doing PGDA, I actually passed much better for all 4 of my subjects. Because in the PGDA year, you have to pass 4 core modules in the same year to be eligible to write your first board exam. And that's how the PGDA works. So you need to pass all 4 to be able to register with SAICA for board 1. And on my second attempt, I passed CTA. And you'll often find that most people don't struggle with the undergrad. PGDA is a lot of work. And it's quite a big jump from doing 3 years of undergrad and then doing 1 year of honors. And then I did my articles with KPMG Johannesburg. It was so much fun. I was in the kind of entertainment industry, so I did a lot of traveling with my articles. And then I passed board 1 on the 5th attempt. You get 5 attempts to pass board 1. I passed it on the 5th attempt. I'm terrible at exam technique, so I had to learn that basically from scratch. And with the ADHD comes a lot of anxiety and a lot of perfectionism. So I really had to deal with my own mental health and make sure that I'm kind of putting my best foot forward. So it was so strange because I passed board 1 on the 5th attempt, but when I wrote board 2 within the next month or 2, I basically passed it on the first attempt. And it's so interesting because my husband is also a CA, and he passed on his first attempt, but his board 2, he only passed on his second attempt. So I normally hold it over his head that I'm like, I passed it on my first attempt. Not to mention that we don't talk about board 1. We don't talk about that. Alfred, I think it's the same way. We have 5 attempts for board 2, if I'm not mistaken. In between board 1 and board 2, there is something called the APT, which is an intro. You have to pass that as well before you get entrance into board 2. So you are much I wouldn't say better prepared, but you're already in that studying mode. So, and you pass APC, and that's run by UJ or UCT. And once you've passed that, you get a little certificate and you gain entrance into SAICA's board 2. So generally most people pass on the first or second, I would even say third attempt. It's not, if you pass APT, it's generally kind of a good thing. You're quite well prepared for board 2. I basically did my articles in Johannesburg. I liked the big KPMG there. I traveled all over the country for KPMG. Part of my big clients were the Arctic Fair resorts. I did the And Beyond resorts. I did I did the Monte Casino, like the Sun. That was quite cool. I got to travel quite a bit. Um, and then after articles, I basically went into commodities. Um, that's kind of my background. I did a lot of group reporting. I went into group reporting for commodity trading industries, for the commodity trading industry. I started off in South Africa. They actually transferred me to America, which was great. I got a lot of exposure there, and also just dealing with a lot of people across the globe was so insightful. I never actually wanted to be an academic. I really enjoy teaching people though, so I did a lot of tutoring. Um, but I really enjoy the financial accounting part of it. I love that there are rules and you get to play within the rules, um, which is what I love. I kind of stumbled on academics actually while I was pregnant with my daughter. And I actually fell in love with academics. It's so much fun to deal with students, seeing how we shape your minds and how we preparing the next generation of CAs. And then how it comes from, I still keep in touch with some of my students that I lectured 4 years ago. And now that they're in practice and they're in the world, it's so beautiful to see that succession of going from students, the thought process and how you guys get shaped in articles, and then how you take that and you move into the real world. And we know that we have prepared you suitably for the whole process. It's so rewarding, and I really, really love being in academics and doing that part. So I might not have wanted to be an academic initially, but I really, really enjoy it. I think it's quite a great process. Um, just we've spoken a little bit about our journeys. Let's talk about Psycha.
Yeah, sure. Such an interesting career. You know what's interesting though is straight after articles, I went into lecturing. Only after lecturing, then I decided to venture out into other things. So let's maybe talk about Psycha. Who's Psycha? Like you mentioned earlier, Psycha is the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. I think we're probably one of the best institutes, if not the best institutes across the world. You'd find that being a member of Psycha brings a lot of credibility in the market, both locally as well as internationally, like Madeline has explained briefly. We're generally well sought after as chartered accountants within the South African market, but also globally. SAICA is basically an association of chartered accountants. We're about 60,000 strong members, many of whom, of course, are in South Africa, but many also are operating globally. What SAICA really is about or cares to do, or the core business of SAICA, is ensuring that there's a pipeline of chartered accountants like yourselves now interested in joining to be members. But once you join, so SAICA will administer the whole process, entire process from your cradle all the way to your top career, from registering at university or registering with Regent. So the program that we work in at Regent is endorsed by SAICA. So SAICA ensures that there's quality and credibility in our programs all the way to your PGDA. Once you pass with myself and the team, or ourselves and the team, then you move on to pass, so rather to register for your board one, which is now called the IAC N2, and then you qualify, or rather after your training contract, you then qualify. So SAICA administers the whole entire process for you to qualify as a chartered accountant. But there are many other things that SAICA does. SAICA essentially exists to ensure that the profession, or the accounting profession in South Africa, serves the public interest. And so that means that looking after entities of public interest. You will be there to ensure credibility in the financial reporting, and the value creation happens by companies. You will be doing a lot of reporting of the value creation processes by those companies for shareholders primarily, but also we now know that there are other stakeholders that we need to ensure are taken care of. So that's what we exist to do. SAICA looks after global reporting standards and ensures that those are applied within the country, whether it's financial reporting. Now there's a lot of discussion about sustainability reporting as well. Our profession is getting more and more exciting, I think, introducing things like sustainability reporting. We're looking a lot in terms of what the impact of artificial intelligence is in the work that we do. There's a lot of activity, of course, in terms of taxation that SAICA does. So there's a lot of advocacy, administering a lot of the tax work that happens. From personal taxes, if you're interested in administering or helping people with personal taxes, SAICA is there to support you as a member, but also looking after the corporate taxes of large international companies. SAICA has got members that look after that as well. So those are the activities that SAICA gets involved in. They look after a lot of technical work that is done by members. Fortunately, like Madeline has said, our members serve a lot of industries. We are everywhere, aren't we? And SAICA ensures that the members are supported so that we ensure stable global economies, because it's not just about the South African economy. We ensure that our members are there to support all the corporations across the world. I think that's pretty much who SAICA is. I don't know if there's anything I missed out, Madeleine.
Oh no, that was really intense. I really like that, because this is a perfect segue to you know, are CAs, there's a big question about, well, why do I need the CA kind of designation? And just from discussions with myself and now with Msizi, with what SAICA is, we can see that we've come a long way from just being bean counters and just being in the accounting industry. It's so exciting because the CASA designation has changed so much to be able to give the best kind of help and guidance to a lot of different companies. So I like to think of CAs as being so adaptable into the market, because we are sought after. As Msizi said, we are very much a sought after designation all over the world. I have yet to meet a CA, a South African CA, okay, because we get called other things all over the world. But I've yet to meet, or I've yet to go into a country that does not regard the CASA designation as high in their kind of in their thought process. We work hard. They train us hard. As Msizi said, SAICA is involved from day one, from your undergrad up until after you've qualified, after you've registered as a CA. Because after you've registered for a CA, that's not the end. You pay membership fees to be part of SAICA, and SAICA is very on the go. So, I mean, I've been to a few countries, right? And it's been amazing. We've got friends all over the world. And in every single country, the first thing when they ask you, they're like, oh, what did you train for? Where did you train? And you're like, in South Africa, I'm a qualified chartered accountant. And they're like, yes, this is the good one, you know? So we definitely sought after internationally. We've got such rigorous processes in place that everyone's like, oh, it's so hard. Yes, it's supposed to be hard. Otherwise, everyone would do it and you wouldn't be special. I'm special because I've got the CASA behind my name, because it's basically a label that says I've worked hard. I know what it costs, and I've got the mental knowledge, but I've also got the resilience to do anything. You can put me anywhere in the world and I'll be fine.
Absolutely.
Right, Msizi?
I agree with you 100%. There's a question that came earlier, how many attempts for board 2? I think when you get to board two, there are unlimited attempts. I do think that you may have to go back and do the board course, whether it's your APT
Yeah.
or or there might be others. Then you just have to go back to do that course. But essentially, once you get to APC, you're almost home, and so the attempts are not limited. So you spoke a lot about international travel. I do want to also just mention some of the things that I've done. They may not be as cool as you, what you have done, but but
It's still pretty cool.
still pretty cool. So I do work at Saika as well, and I get to do some exciting things. So like right now, Saika is trying to call it revise the work that we do in the public sector, and so I got involved with some exciting work in terms of researching our work in public finance management. We have not been very present, if I can call it that, in the public sector space. So in the past, I did get exposed to the work of the Auditor General, which was exciting. It was new to me, but I think maybe also challenging, I must say, but at the time. But I think in retrospect, when I look back, I think there are a lot of interesting things that I learned at the time. So to be now in a position where I look at some of the work that is being done in the public sector and some of the challenges that are being experienced, but also trying to decide or define rather how the chartered accountancy profession can play a role in the public sector can be exciting. But you know what also excites me is that because of the way that we work, I have to also create excitement for myself. So I always look for opportunities. Like I've been involved in some of the technology research at SAICA. And so I'll find myself working on some cool projects. Last year, we partnered with a couple of guys, including an international government agency, South African entities, and also one of the universities to research basically an AI maturity assessment framework for South Africa. How cool is that? So we are ready to launch. I think we're launching on the 12th of August. And basically what it does is it measures how ready South Africa is for the AI tide that we are facing. I also am currently working on another cool project, I think. So you'll see that I like AI related projects. We're working on a project at SAICA. In fact, we had started with the regulator, which is the IRBA, which is trying to assess how to the extent of readiness of auditors in the use of AI, artificial intelligence. So at SAICA, we also decided to assess to what extent are members using artificial intelligence in the preparation of financial statements. So that's a project that I'm working with some of my colleagues at SAICA. Nice exposure to understand how ready we are. We've got some data that we're trying to analyze right now so that we assess, as we you may know, SAICA revised its competency framework, and we've got some cool things that are happening. And so what we're trying to do from a SAICA perspective is really assess on the ground, are members starting to use artificial intelligence, to what extent? So those are some of the cool things that I've done.
That is pretty damn cool. Like, what are you saying that you're not exciting? That is so exciting. Like incorporating AI, that's like mind blowing actually for
Yeah.
accountants. Ricardo, I see there's a message, a question from Ricardo where he says, can one who is still to register for the bridging course to PGDA be accepted for articles? Um, so it's up to you, really. Most of our students at Regent are working and doing their articles while they are doing their PGDA. I'm not sure about the bridging course. I'm not sure if the Big Four, if you're aiming for Big Four, I don't know if they would accept you, but I do know that some of the medium to smaller size firms would. Yeah, I don't know. In Msizi, do you know anything?
So I know some firms will definitely take you. I doubt that the big
Yeah.
four firms take you, but some firms will. I know some firms also will have a preference for someone who has at least attempted PGDA,
Yes.
because to study part-time and work is a challenge. We accept that a lot of our students, of course, in our PGDA are studying, and it is a challenge. PGDA on its own, done full time, is a challenging course.
Yes.
So you just need to understand that in the market, not a lot of the firms will offer you that, but there are smaller firms who may accept you and will try to support you in your articles, but also in your journey towards PGDA, and then or rather your access, and then your PGDA. So it just depends. You're gonna have to look a little bit, but obviously first choice, even if you're coming to us, would be to do it full time. But I think we understand and we accept that it's not always possible.
Yeah.
So I think that's the situation. I think there's another question about someone who's done, I think, BCom General, and they want to transition into the CA program. I think that's going to have to be a specific case where the person will need to speak to a consultant within Regent who's going to advise them specifically what their journey would entail. The issue is that obviously there are specific requirements to gain access into our Access for Success program, which is our Bridging CTA, and then into which would typically be a BCom accounting degree that is not SAICA endorsed. That would typically be the requirement to gain access, or rather to be admitted into the Access program and then into PGDA. So I would suggest if you go into our website and you can quickly chat, they will be able to assist you. I think Zara is also yes, student support will be able to help you.
One other thing that I just want to say is, with the whole CASA being sought after, did you know that we are internationally recognized? Except for America, who does their own thing, right? We don't talk about America. They are their own little situation at the moment. And they use something called US GAAP or GARP, if you want to be particular. So they use a different set of accounting standards generally to everyone in the world. And that's why I'm also saying America is just its own little beast. Because the rest of the world generally uses international financial reporting standards, so the IFRS standards. And therefore, if everyone is using the same thing, it's easier to transfer or to acknowledge our CA designation. So we've actually got a few double kind of agreements with various countries where you can use your CASA to work in that country, and you don't have to get their professional designation. Okay, so just something to consider. We are internationally recognized. I quickly want to chat to you about career options, because this is great. I genuinely think of being a CASA as kind of being a general doctor. So if you want to call it like a GP, right? Because in our PGDA and generally what we do in our undergraduate degree up until when you get to third year, we kind of specialize in 4 different topics. We specialize in auditing, management accounting, financial accounting, which is my favorite, and then taxation. And the beauty of that is you can go once you get into the CA designation, you can literally go and do whatever you want. If you want to be a taxation person, you go to tax. If you want to be an auditor for the rest of your life, go for it, my friend. No one's going to judge you here. If you want to go into reporting, go for it. Financial reporting is generally where it's at. It's so much fun. And literally, if you want to become a group accountant, or if you just want to become an accountant, if you want to become a financial director or a financial manager, you go for it. If you want to become an operational accountant, go for it, my friend. If you want to be an entrepreneur, go for it. No judgment from us. You can literally use what you've learned and apply it to anything in your life, and you can make some money. Okay, because I know what people think. Generally, when they say CASA, they think, oh, people are just gonna throw money at you. No, you still got to work hard for it, right? And I always think to myself, my husband and I are the perfect. We're just different because both of us are CAs, but he's a chief operating officer of a group of companies. So I always joke and I'm saying he makes the money and I count the money. Like That's how we do it. I like to disclose the money. He likes to make the money. I don't want to make the money. I just want to report the money. Okay. So can you see with your CASA, there's so many options. And it's just so amazing that you can have that. So I definitely think the CASA is the way to go. Msizi, why don't you
Yes.
tell us about regions and how a region can play a role in these people's CASA journey that we want to be a
Sure.
part of, by the way?
Sure. Maybe before I even do that, there's a question that's asking, is Regent registered with ICANN? I know we've had many students from Namibia over the past few years. So yes, certainly if you're in Namibia, I'm just not sure if the question is about registering with SAICA or ICANN. And I think that's up to the student to then decide. But we do have students in Namibia that are registered with Regent, certainly. So maybe you can clarify that question. So, I've worked for a public institution before, and I'm not going to mention the name, but Regent has been such a cool institution for me. Working with this team, there's so much flexibility, and I think it's flexibility for us as academics, but also flexibility for our students. There's this sense of understanding of who our student is. There's a lot of innovation. I can tell you about so many cool things, like our project that we're doing this year in PGDA. I'm so fascinated that we can take something that practical that is offered to us by Regent into a PGDA class. So I think maybe just in a nutshell, Regent is one of the best, if not the best, private business schools in the country. We offer everything from short courses to degrees like our BCom accounting, which I'm hoping that most of you will be applying to or are going to be transferring into pretty soon. Our BCom accounting, of course, is endorsed by SAICA. We also do have an access program, access to into our PGDA, which is sometimes called the BCTA. So if you've done, like we mentioned earlier, a BCom accounting somewhere else or in a region that was not SAICA endorsed, and you want to transition into the CA program. So we've got that BCTA or that Access for Success program that you can register for and then go on to do your PGDA. Like I mentioned earlier, I think one of the best things about Regent is that it's such an innovative business school. There's a lot of practicalities. We're always trying to see how we can innovate and bring the best into class. So we want to make sure that we've got one of the best, if not the best, accounting programs in the country. But I think what's also cool is that we feel the support within the institution to make sure that we bring you the best. We embrace diversity. We global, just like SAICA, Regent is globally recognized, and that's why we are SAICA endorsed, because we want to make sure that the accounting program that we are bringing to South Africans and Namibians is certainly globally recognized, and that's why we've got the SAICA endorsement. Like I mentioned, we've got everything from short course all the way to PhDs or doctoral programs. So, but of course, here we are just talking about our accounting. So, for accounting, we offer BCom accounting, the undergrad access, as well as our PGDA. I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like me to talk about in terms of who Regent is, but I really think it's such a great business school that I think everyone would be excited, or anyone would be excited to be a part of.
I completely agree, Msizi, because, and not just because I work here, right? It's literally, I've worked with other institutions before. The level of support we get at Regent and how we support our students is just very different. We know that most of our students are working. We understand that. So we want to make sure that that all our students use whatever time they have available to the best of their ability. We don't want to give you fluff. We want to give you the necessary information that helps you pass your exams, and then also make sure that you are competent enough to getting into the real world. There's nothing worse than being a CA and having other CAs, younger CAs come in, and you're like, oh, where did you see my friend? You know, because we want to make sure that we release CAs into the wild and we know that you are competent in doing what you need to do. We feel very strongly about it at Regent. So we follow SAICA quite well, we do follow SAICA and we follow the competencies that they set out. And like I said, SAICA is quite rigorous with their requirements for being a CA. So what do you need to get into the BCom in accounting? So basically what you need is just mathematics. You don't even need accounting. And my little cousins say, ugh, why do we need maths? I'm like, it's literally, we teach you how to think, because you need to be able to follow a process, a thinking pattern. And that's what mathematics does. It teaches you a way or a method of thinking. So mathematics is definitely the requirement for getting into any accounting degree. Yeah, you can learn accounting. Like I said, it's a set of rules. You can learn accounting on the fly. So very definitely need mathematics for it. Let's look at some Q&A. Any other questions or anything else from you, Msizi?
We've got some questions, but I know Zara is taking care of some.
Yeah.
There's an interesting one here. What's the difference between SAICA and the American competencies in becoming a CASA? So you spoke earlier about the fact that the obvious one, the fact that they've got their own situation when it comes to financial reporting. But I think essentially it's pretty much similar in terms of the fact that you need to do your accounting, you need to do accounting here may be different to accounting in the States, but it's in terms of excuse me, coverage, it's the same things.
Yes. So basically, with the American way of doing it, because they've got 50 states or 51 states, theirs is very much state driven. So they need to know the basic accounting. How they get taught is very different to how we get taught. They get taught a situational based accounting, where we get taught the rules and how to apply the rules appropriately. The number of years for articles that they need to do depends on which state you're in. So it's just very different. And the accounting standards that they use are very similar. So the IFRS Foundation, who sets our accounting standards, work pretty closely with the American Accounting Standards Board. So there's generally some overlap, but there's a few accounting standards where they just differ slightly from us in disclosure. So generally the CASA doesn't quite transfer over to them. They don't like it that you use your CASA in the States. They want you to register for their accreditation, which is a CPA, which is, I was in the process of doing that while I was in the States. Yeah. So it is different. We don't have overlap. SAICA doesn't have a lot of overlap with America, North America in particular, but everywhere else in the world, we do have overlap.
Sure. Okay, I know we are answering some questions, and I do believe that there is an agreement that is in place with AICPA CIMA, but I think if someone is specifically interested in looking into America, they'd have to go into that to understand the exact requirements. How you try, like you mentioned earlier, you were trying to work towards getting that. So it's something that we would have to go into specifically, and I think. If someone is interested to connect with you after this, then maybe it's something that we can take up specifically.
Perfect. Does Regent offer SAICA accredited degrees? Yes, we do.
Of course.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
The long and short is that, yes, our SAICA, our accounting programs are all SAICA accredited, although we now call them SAICA endorsed. Breaking news, they are now SAICA endorsed, no longer accredited, but yes, we are definitely SAICA accredited from our undergraduate degree, which is our BCom accounting degree, all the way into our PGDA or CTA or GDA or whatever it is that you call it. It's all SAICA endorsed. And I think it's high quality, even if I say so myself.
Ricardo actually has quite a few questions. He says, does SAICA accept articles done outside South Africa with the Big Four or without? So from what I understand, because we work so closely with Namibia, and I think it's Botswana as well, they accept articles from those places. But if you want to go to the UK, no, not that I know of. I think you have to start here and then transfer over there, if I'm not mistaken. But Msizi, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it generally it would be accepted. I know though they do have, I think it used to be a maximum of 12 months of recognition of prior learning, which is obviously a different kind of process because it's just
Yeah.
acknowledging the fact that you have um, demonstrated some competencies, but of course you'd have to submit a whole lot of documentation to prove what you have done. It's kind of a different process and it's done at the training office level. But like I said, it's probably going to be a maximum of 12 months unless you can prove something else. And again, that would be typically on a case by case basis.
So during your articles, your 3 years of articles, you've got certain amounts or a certain number of competencies that you need to meet before the training office signs you off and say, yes, we agree that you are free to go into the world, right? Um, you will have to be able to prove that you've met some of those competencies, but it's very few and far between, I have to admit. Most people that want to register with or that want to be the CASA designation, you have to start in South Africa or with, I think it's Namibia or Botswana. I think we can kind of agree on those two. Ricardo says, another question. In a situation, I start my articles with a small company. Is it possible to transfer to the Big Four, or will I have to start from the beginning? We don't generally transfer in between our articles unless something drastic happens. Like you cannot stand, like something is drastically wrong, you know. We generally don't transfer in between articles. Has it been done before? Yes, surely. But once again, you'll have to prove that you've met certain competencies before. I don't know if the Big Four would take you on if you've gone from like a small firm to a bigger firm or a small firm to a Big Four. I don't think I've ever heard of that. But don't never say never, right? It could happen, but it generally doesn't, I should say.
Yeah. I think what is best, or rather what the approach should be is do as much research as you can in terms of where you want to kind of go in future. So do you see yourself? Look, of course, the competency framework is similar, but the context and the environment where you're going to demonstrate your competency will then differ from a small firm to a big firm to a Big Four firm. So I think it's important to maybe kind of decide where you think you want to go or how you want to approach your competence as early as you can. If you want to go into the Big Four, rather just go there directly, or if you want to go into the small, because each one has their own pros and cons. I think it just depends on what you kind of like. But I think what also you must be mindful of is that there usually is a standard 6 month penalty for such transfers. So it's something that you don't want to do unless you really absolutely have to do that transfer. It is possible, but it's something that you're going to have to think long and very hard about.
Do you really want an extra 6 months of articles? Generally not. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, I did my articles with a Big Four firm. I did mine with KPMG. My husband did his with BDO. There are, like Msizi said, there are pros and cons to each company. He found that more, he saw more, and he got access to more things. And I think that's why he wanted to make the money and I wanted to report the money. But I always knew that I wanted to go into reporting. Reporting is near and dear to my heart. I love the technical stuff of it. So I knew what I wanted to do. And that's why I kind of targeted a Big Four firm. but I do understand that not everyone goes into articles knowing what they want to do. So I think it's also, as much as it is a 3-year contract with a firm, you kind of need to think about what they stand for as well. So as much as you are doing your articles with them, you also have to be happy with them. You also have to know kind of what situation you want to go into, what trajectory you want your CASA path to go into. Just maybe kind of an inkling. I always ask students, what do you want to do? Have you actually sat down and thought about your path? Like, what comes next? I know everyone thinks about 7 years because it's 4 years of doing your degree and your undergrad degree and then your postgrad and then 3 years of articles. For some of us, it's a little bit longer, but what do you want the rest of your career to look like? If you want to be an FD or an FM, do you want to go into tax? Rather think about the company that will give you those opportunities. So as much as you want to say, oh, I just want to do my 3 years of articles, you also have to think about which company would be best for my situation. Yeah.
We've got a question from Sahil here. He wants to know, once he's done with his postgrad, what basically the recruitment process looks like and what the prerequisites for entering Big Four are. I think generally we find that if you pass your PGDA, you'll definitely get articles. I think let's start there. You'll most likely get articles and you will most likely get into Big Four firm. Of course, some people may be selective in terms of the marks. I don't know that there is a minimum requirement in terms of marks. I know for a lot of the firms, it's just a pass. So even if you scrape through with all 50s, you can really get into any one of the firms. That's obviously the principle of it.
So
I
for a
know.
big four firm, sorry, MCZ, for a big four firm, it's not just about your marks. Remember, you are going to be representing that firm. So they often look at how well do you work in a team. And then also what you have to think about is you have to connect with them. That's why we often tell students, go to these career fairs, make contact with the companies, message the HR department, go for it. If you want something, that's part of being a CA as well. It's just that go-getting situation. Go get it,
Yes.
That's what they want you
Yeah.
to do.
Yes, and you know what's interesting? This year, we region held a career day for accounting. I think in Joburg and Durban. You're absolutely right. You need to be a go-getter as an aspiring chartered accountant. So you need to speak to them, like you said, and it's such an important thing because this is exactly what you're trying to emphasize to students and aspiring CAs that yes, your technical knowledge and work is important. So your accounting is important, your auditing is important, so is your tax and all the other good things. But we want you to demonstrate more than your technical knowledge. And so the more you are able to communicate and engage with the people from the firm, the managers, the partner, whoever is out and about, the HR from there, the more they can be impressed with you. I know people who were able to turn around their situations because they just went on to speak to a PwC from Stellenbosch. I know a student who was just sitting at home studying at UNISA, but they just chose to do things differently. They said, I wanted to go to Cape Town, but I don't really want to go to Cape Town. I actually want to go to Stellenbosch. And they ended up in Stellenbosch because they just spoke to the people. And the people were impressed. They were like, you know what? We like you. You can come. And they passed their PGDA and then they went there. So I think really the only person that's going to limit where you go is yourself. If you can get the marks right, uh, that's the minimum. But certainly, how you approach the prospective employer is what is going to impress them. And I think the more you are able to communicate what you're trying to do, the more you are interested in their firm, the more you can speak to them, the more they will also be interested in you.
The
Yeah,
world is your oyster,
absolutely.
literally. Yeah, legit, legit.
Most
I always tell students, because I'm a bit of a different CA. If you ever meet my husband, he's like very serious, very like, and I'm more like,
Very
how?
CA.
Even though I always don't say I don't like people, but I actually do really like people. Um, but my husband is like a very serious CA, where I'm a bit more of like an out there CA. So it takes all sorts of us, but it literally is a mindset. It's the one thing that we've got as a collective. It's just how can we make things better? And this is also why the CA designation is in demand, because we just think differently. We want to make things better. We want to try and help the people out, you know. It's not just being a bean counter and counting and making sure disclosure is appropriate. We want to, this is our the way that we think and the way we want to do things. We want to be go-getters. And that's the beauty of being a CA.
Sure. I see we've got 2 minutes left, and I know in the Q&A as well, we've got questions that we're asking. I was just busy trying to type out the answers. The recording will be available on YouTube. We have also mentioned that in the webinar. I don't know if there's any questions that we've missed out. We have 1 minute left. But I think it's such a nice journey that if you take anything away from me, such a nice journey to embark on. It's challenging, but most certainly rewarding. You belong to an amazing profession, like we said, that is sought after globally. And I think Regent is here to really support you in your journey. And we want to make sure that we give you the best chance at success and qualifying. So, like I said, whether you want to start with our BCom accounting all the way to PGDA, we will be here to support you. One thing that I think you must do or train yourself on, or maybe start practicing more, is critical thinking. I think it's such a powerful thing to have. Think critically. If you're going to be a successful CA, you need to be a critical thinker.
Age cap to becoming a CA. Do you know what the best part is? I know we've got like no minutes left, but there is no age cap to being a CA. If you go look on LinkedIn, there was literally someone who was 52 who just became a CA. How flippin' amazing is that?
So cool.
So no
Definitely
age cap.
mix.
You are always you able to do anything that you set your mind to. I think
That's such a cool thing.
someone had their hand up. Please create a short video with demonstration on different paths in Psycho and post it on YouTube. Sure. We will see if we can get to that, right? Okay.
Sure.
Any other questions from anyone else? Guys, it's been so much fun talking to you. If you have any questions, please contact our student support or contact Zara. We're always ready for a chat. We love to have you guys, and we hope to hear from you soon.
All right. I think that we can call it a please create. Oh, that's we've seen that already. Yeah, I think it's been great having you. Hope to see you soon. Whether it's in our undergrad or in our postgrad, please feel free to reach out to us at any time. You can have a chat with our student sub advisor as well on our website, and we look forward to welcoming you as a chartered accountant South Africa.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.